Welcome to episode 203 of On Record PR. We are your hosts, Jennifer Simpson, Carr, and Gina Rubel. Hi, Gina.
Hello, I'm back.
Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the PR trends expected to shape 2026 and, importantly, what they mean for the legal industry. Gina, since we launched the show in 2020, which is hard to believe, it's going to
Right?
be 6 years, we've had countless conversations about how law firms face unique reputational challenges and heightened scrutiny. But with the pace of technology, especially around AI, deep fakes, generative search, it feels more true now than ever before.
It really is, Jen. It's almost exhausting, but it's also exciting. And I think we are in a sea change of opportunity. So what we're seeing heading into 2026 is a fundamental shift in how narratives form, how reputations are built or damaged, and how information about law firms and their attorneys circulates. And that's often before a human communicator even has a chance to intervene. So I think it's really important, this topic, and that law firm leaders, law firm communicators are prepared. These trends are by no means theoretical. They're already reshaping not just public relations, but crisis and incident response preparedness, media strategy, and how companies, like the clients of law firms prepare to maintain the trust that they want to keep. So part of our role as strategic partners to our clients is staying on top of those trends and proactively planning for them. Um, it's not an if, it's a when.
Right. Which is something that we've heard and said so many times. It's not if, but when.
Right. It's
Uh,
like a broken record.
so, PR Daily published an article outlining the top 2026 trends. You circulated it to the team, and we're going to dive into those today and very specifically how they impact law firms and the legal industry more broadly. The first trend is narrative intelligence, which, for listeners that may not know this term, is the ability to listen, understand, and analyze narratives and then use it for purposes like persuasion. So it's especially relevant for law firms who are dealing with crises, investigations, litigation, or high profile clients. One of the authors noted in the article that monitoring mentions is no longer enough as it relates to media and publishing. Deepfakes, bots, networks, and coordinated attacks can shift a narrative in minutes, not hours or days.
And I couldn't agree more. I think that was Dan Brahmy, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, Brahmy for readers. If you don't read PR Daily, just so you know where to find it. And law firms are prime targets. Think about sensitive cases, political clients. Talked about that all year. Controversial litigation, high stakes employment matters. All of those can come up and be subject of like a deep fake, a manipulative video of a partner, or a coordinated misinformation campaign against a client. All of this becomes a legal, ethical, and reputational crisis all at once. And we this is new. This is new territory. Uh, think about the way, Jen, and I like to tell listeners and people that I mentor all the time, think about how you would talk to a child, whether you have your own children. Um, in my family, for instance, we have a special word that if you call and or text and say you have an emergency, we might ask for that special word that nobody else knows, not even you, Jen, and you know a lot about me, because of there are so many deep fakes, right?
Yep.
So, those scams where people, their voices are being faked and they're calling and telling family members, I've been kidnapped. What's our word?
Mhm.
So it's so real today. And I like to bring it down to that common denominator, those things we all think about, to make it real. Like, it's again, it's so cliche at this point, but if not, but when? It's
Hmm.
not if, it's when.
So this conversation and this trend for 2026 reminds me a lot of last year's Legal Marketing Association Northeast Conference. It was in Boston. And Jennifer Stokes from Shipman and Jennifer Johnson from Calibrate and I presented a PR session. And we raised over a year ago at this point the concept of narrative intelligence hypothetically, specifically in the context of a high profile member of the firm being targeted with a deep fake, and whether or not, as an example, firms were actually prepared for a potential crisis that could arise from what we were seeing would be the advance of technology, right? So a deep fake meaning that someone shows your managing partner in a unfavorable situation or using their name, voice, and likeness to in their image and the video appears that they're saying something that is harmful to the firm and its reputation. So that was a hypothetical, and fast forward a year, as you mentioned, Gina, it's now a reality.
You know, I have a saying, Jennifer, and this I can equate to what you're saying now, and that is, I don't always want to be right. And I think about, the three of you probably didn't want to be correct, but you were predicting what was coming, and you were exactly correct. And the reality is that crisis preparedness now requires tools that can detect disinformation, misinformation early, who's driving it, how it spreads, how to respond before it becomes a headline. And it's no longer optional for law firms with high profile matters or for institutional reputation. Um, they need to be protected. And it's not simply risk for a high profile member of the firm, Jen. If you think about law.com, the ABA Journal, and many other outlets have covered the reality of these threats to litigation and the legal industry generally. Uh, these range anywhere from misleading narratives about major cases or in an AI generated fake press release. Say that 10 times, AI generated fake press release. And remember that these can escalate in seconds. We Some say minutes, I say seconds, and it's no longer days. You don't have days.
Yeah, is it as easy as it is now to repost quickly on so many platforms? You're right, seconds is probably more accurate. So, because we have five topics to cover in this conversation, we won't dive into the details about the tools that are out there, but we will include in our show notes a sample list of tools in the market that are being used by corporations and organizations to detect disinformation and harmful narratives, with the caveat that we like to practice what we preach. We have not used these tools that we're listing, but we want to give you a list that you can start to work through as we also are looking at these tools as we move into the new year.
I was going
So,
to say, Jen, I'm glad you're going to put a list together because I don't know what they are.
yeah, and it is on our radar to look through them and start to assess them because this is going to be something that, is top of mind next year.
So it's
Um,
no longer just critical mention. We're looking at even higher level type tools.
mhm.
Interesting. Good to know. See, we're learning something new every day, folks.
So let's move into what may be the most transformational shift for PR professionals, GEO, which I'm sure everyone's heard this term now, generative engine optimization. So in this article, Melanie Clauser made a powerful point about brand visibility and it being shaped by not what people search, but what AI answers. This is the same sentiment that many of our team members have shared over the past few episodes, and it has a significant impact on the way our media team approaches its strategy.
And Jen, I think it's important to note that Leslie Richards from our team has, she's done some episodes with us and talks about this with us every day. I hope we can link those in our show notes as well, because this whole topic of geo, we've been talking about it since day one. So I remember having this conversation at our firm retreat 2 or 3 years ago, when ChatGPT was like all the rage. So, we are seeing journalists, centers of influence, and even clients using AI tools as their first source of information. That means earned media, the kind PR teams work so hard to pitch and place, is becoming the training data for tomorrow's AI generated summaries. And what I was on a call with a client. I don't remember if you were on that particular call, but you'll know what I'm talking about. When I did a demo of why where they were not showing up in the AI searches and why. And we were talking to this one, it was a practice group chair, and this practice group chair was really a naysayer for PR before then. And then all of a sudden, the shift went, oh my gosh, we have to be doing this. Like we have to be focused on more PR because of the GEO implication. So I thought that was really interesting. And what it means as we look ahead to 2026 is that law firm PR teams, whether it's your in-house communications professionals or your strategic agency partner, must publish with the intent to be machine cited. It's not keyword stuffing either. It's about quality, not quantity. It's about, and I just read something this week, and it was about, and I think it was on law.com, saying that law firms, it's no longer about the speed with which you publish, it's the accuracy and the speed with which you publish.
Mhm.
So it means that more authoritative storytelling, more expert commentary, and more proprietary insights that demonstrate credibility are going to be important. But also, there's a way that you organize it and present it so that it's more AI friendly, as you will. And for law firms, it reinforces the value of thought leadership, rankings. Um, Sorry, but super lawyers, best lawyers,
Mhm.
chambers, legal 500, law dragon, they all matter. And there are some in that list, the first two that we tend to wish different in corporate law, and quotes in trusted publications. So that again, going back to that earned media, and there are now signals to AI, not just to humans. So that credibility factor is ridiculously important.
The rankings have been interesting for me because I think many people wish, just candidly, wish that there wasn't so much time and resources invested in those. But what we are seeing very quickly is that generative AI is actually using those as very credible sources for the answers it's producing.
Whoever knew that being listed in super lawyers, which for those of you listening, which are most likely legal marketers and lawyers, you know how this works. For anybody else listening, call me and I'll explain it. Um, it just it's more cost to the firm and more distraction, but they've become necessary again.
So our team covers this GEO topic in great detail. You mentioned Leslie, who's talked on a number of episodes about this. And then in two recent episodes, we had team members Kim Miller, Mahalet Ropar, and Kyla Thompson, who recently attended LMA's Tech West by Southwest conference with you, go into great detail about the learnings and the application of GEO from those great sessions. And then most recently, a conversation with Becky Bergman, our director of media relations, and she goes into how our media team is really assessing a human reader versus an AI reader and how to consider that as part of the pitching and media relations mix. So we will drop links to those conversations in our show notes, but a lot of different perspective and a lot of context around GEO. So, Gina, we're going to break here for a message from our sponsor. And when we get back, we'll tackle the last three trends for 2026.
This episode is brought to you by Furia Rubel Communications, a public relations and marketing agency serving law firms and businesses worldwide. With an expert team positioned throughout the U.S. and supported by an international faculty, Furia Rubel enhances our clients' brands through integrated communications by providing expert guidance in crisis management and high profile litigation, protecting brand and reputation, and supporting internal marketing teams. To learn more, visit furiarubel.com.
Gina, we're back from our sponsor message, and we're going to dive into the last three trends predicted for 2026. Number three is another AI piece, which is that monitoring will become a dedicated communications function. And it's really to be thought of like media monitoring 2.0. Will Swope, SWOPE, I hope I am saying his name correctly, mentioned that we will be tracking not just what people say about an organization, and in this conversation, a law firm, but what AI systems say for your firm.
Yeah, I paused for a second because I'm really thinking about that. We're already doing that. We already have somebody dedicated to using one of our tools for our clients and cross training on it. And the implications for reputation management are huge. If an AI tool inaccurately summarizes a case, for example, or a lawyer's expertise or a firm's history, that's misinformation that can spread quickly. And so we use Meltwater as our media monitoring tool for the agency and our clients. And tools like Meltwater's generative AI lens are emerging to help brands see how they're represented inside major AI engines. And that is really important. And these are going to be investments that we're going to have to make. For legal leaders and in-house marketing professionals, this means dedicating resources, time, expertise, and technology to auditing AI outputs, just as you would review a Google search, or the results of a Google search or media coverage. And Jen, I don't know if you remember, but maybe 25 years ago, we would say if you don't have a Google alert set up about your name or your firm, now it's just so much more, right?
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad that that was the example because I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. But yes, I do remember. I do remember that that was extremely important. It was part of the strategy. So I think from this trend, what's important for legal leaders to understand is this isn't just a marketing issue, as you said earlier, Gina. It's a risk and reputation issue.
Yep, law firms already invest heavily in ensuring accuracy across their websites, bios, proposals, public statements. Now they need to extend that mindset to AI environments. Uh, and it doesn't matter if it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, or industry-specific tools. These systems are shaping first impressions long before a prospective client ever visits the firm's website. So if the information is wrong, if it's outdated or if it's biased, it can affect everything from business development to lateral recruiting and media inquiries. And that's just an opportunity cost. And so it's not something new. We've been talking about opportunity costs for decades, but it's a new platform, new medium or media that we have to be monitoring. And that's why thinking about building an AI monitoring function, whether it's in-house or through agency partners, is becoming an essential component of reputation management. And it's about maintaining control of the narrative in places where firms historically have not had visibility.
Yeah, and so with each of these takeaways, as we look ahead, it's really about firms thinking how to invest now and prepare themselves so that they're better positioned for the future. Um, the next topic or trend is something that we have been talking about in digital strategy for the last many years, but again,
Yeah.
it's the 2.0 version. So it's really video. And in the article, author Greg Barta shared insights about authenticity-driven video and how it resonates strongly. So Gina, to go back to your point earlier about thinking back, I know that even maybe 5 to 7 years ago, the big conversation was video. How do we integrate it more? How do we humanize our content by showing our attorneys, letting people hear their voices? So with so much AI generated content circulating, the audiences of our firms, including clients and prospective talent, can really get a sense through video of what the firm and the attorneys actually feel like as a human and as an organization.
There's so many things I can say about video. And I want to try to keep us on time. So, because I always talk too much. Law firms often overproduce content. And what audiences respond to are real attorneys discussing real issues, quick commentary on new rulings, behind the scene glimpses of firm culture, community involvement. But also, it's important to note, like, I remember not too long ago, probably within the last year, we were doing a press conference for a client, and I had recommended that we get B-roll, and the client was against it. They didn't want to spend the money. For those of you who don't know what B-roll is, it's just video. It's straight video content that you can provide to a media outlet, and they can pull clips of it when they don't have someone that they can send out to a press conference or something like that. And it's really, again, this is not a new topic, to be clear. But, and this is me speaking, this isn't the article speaking. The amount with these two new generations in the workforce that have been raised on digital content first, video content is more authentic. It builds more trust, and it's the trust currency in the legal profession. And this trend signals that firms need to humanize their attorneys, not polish them beyond recognition, so that when they get on a video, they're speaking legalese and nobody knows what they're talking about. And it's like the greatest litigators speak to the jury, right? We were trained that in law school. And so you really need to teach people how to speak to a general audience, not just to corporate decision makers. And so there's just so much opportunity in video, and some of it can be done on your iPhone, and some of it should never be done on your iPhone. Just to be clear, when it's something that has to be done quickly, but people listen more than they read today too. I mean, why are we doing podcasts? Because people listen more than they read, right? And our podcasts also have a video channel for a reason, because a lot of people are watching the videos. So we're not just saying this because we read it in PR Daily.
Right.
We're saying this because we have the data to back it up.
And you bring up a great point before we move on to trend number 5, which is video isn't just video for YouTube, your website, etc. It's also used as part of the pitching process. It's an opportunity for someone, for team members like our media team, to help a reporter listen to your voice and hear how they might they might have a conversation with you. Again, it's humanizing a pitch beyond just the text and the press release. And again, it's not relevant for every single pitch. You don't need a video and a audio clip for every pitch, but there are instances where it really can enhance the work that your PR team does.
Jennifer, when we pitched somebody for Good Morning America a few years ago, because that's not something we typically pitch, right? It has to be a big national story. The very first thing we did is sent video and said, here's this person who was a prosecutor in the Cosby case, and they saw that he would be a guest on the show. The producers want to see that person. So it's very helpful for podcasts. It's very helpful for radio interviews. It's very helpful for TV interviews. And more it's been helpful for even written interviews. So I agree with you. But if you want to be on TV, you darn well better have video.
So finally, in this article, Rob Key predicts data governance moving from the back office to the boardroom. And if it has not already made its way there for our listeners, it should be top of mind for you as law firm leaders.
I agree. When firms rely on AI for insights, experience management, or client strategy, the quality of that data becomes a risk management issue. And I shared with our team today, which, there's still a lot of uncertainty about how the courts are going to decide on the discovery of even AI prompts. So it is a risk management issue, and inaccurate or biased data doesn't just affect marketing, it affects business development, pricing, diversity reporting, strategic planning, and litigation. Is the data AI ready for all of this? Because it's becoming a leadership level conversation, or it has become a leadership level conversation. If it hasn't, it should be. So for law firms, this may mean new governance structures, cross-functional teams, bringing in new knowledge managers or compliance reviews to ensure that the data feeding AI systems meets ethical accuracy and legal standards. And that's something that Rob Key didn't talk about, was the legal standards, because he wasn't speaking to a legal audience. That's something we need to speak to.
Yeah. So to summarize the top 5 trends, from our perspective, the future will reward those law firms and legal leaders that really embrace both human expertise and machine intelligence. This is a big shift in our industry, and we are starting to see that the firms that invest in, you know, invest based on the data and the information that's available are better positioned to succeed. From the perspective of the trends we've talked about today, that's narrative intelligence, GEO-driven visibility, AI monitoring, authentic storytelling, strong data governance.
And they're the ones that are going to be there for the firms to thrive, Jen. And they're trends that aren't just marketing trends. They're reputational, operational, and business risks and opportunities for every law firm and law firm leader.
So thank you for joining us today. Please stay tuned for future episodes. If you have enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review on iTunes. It does help searchers find us in the algorithm. Please continue to send your ideas to us at podcast@onrecordpr.com, and we will see you next week.
And if I'm not on before the end of the year, bring on 2026.
You are now prepared for 2026.
There you go. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Gina. Bye.
On Record PR is produced by Jennifer Simpson Carr and Matt Henderson, with support from the team at Rubel Communications. This episode is edited by Isabel Horan and Christian Yamula. Visit www.onrecordpr.com for resources and more information.